Hello, cosmic creatures! This is part 2 of our interview with Elaine Ireland. If you haven't heard part 1, back up! Go back! Listen to part 1 first. Don't miss it. I'm Lauren Leon.
And I'm Frank, because at this point you might have forgotten.
We are a married couple learning how to develop our own intuition, and this one is episode 76 of Clairvoyaging. Wayfeather Media presents Clairvoyaging. Hi. Hello, pretty little babies.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to part 2.
This is part 2 with Elaine Ireland.
If you didn't catch part 1, go catch part 1.
Yeah, you want to do it. Or you're going to be like, what are they talking about?
What? Why did this episode start in the middle?
What? This is the middle of a conversation. I think I missed something.
I think I'm lost.
I'm not sure if I heard the first part. I think our speech pattern is starting to emulate our son.
Oh, for sure.
It's podcast time.
It's probably podcast time.
I'm pretty sure. You're probably right. Hi, everyone.
What's going on?
Guys, this is the second time we've done this intro. And we're just going to be totally honest. It's late because we've been packing. No, Frank's been packing. My sweet husband has been doing so much work. But
let me just totally assure you, the first time we did this intro, it was a banger. It was it slapped.
It was great. But what happened?
What happened? I don't know. Riverside. Sorry, Riverside. I'm going to throw you under the bus. We got a beep 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 sound. That's it.
Yeah.
So anyway,
guys, I just have a shout out to give, and that is to Cedar. Push the button. Yeah. Thank you, Cedar.
Thank you, Cedar.
Cedar donated to our documentary fundraising campaign.
Thank you.
And we have like a little more than half a month left of our campaign. We're getting there. We're doing it. Slow and steady wins the race.
This is no matter what, it's gonna happen. So.
Oh yeah. Fully believe that the universe has our backs.
It's happening.
Yeah. We are taking a leap of faith once we have the funds, and the funds will be there. So
like I said the first time around, one Cedar at a time.
Exactly.
Thank you, Cedar.
If you want to be cool like Cedar, and contribute, you're all cool. But if you want to be even cooler, go to clairvoyaging.com/support and click on the 501c3.
You really show your cards that you were raised with 2 older brothers, because you hold everyone's coolness over their head all the time. You're like, oh, you want to be cool, huh? Okay, well.
Yeah, you say something stupid, Lauren.
Give me your popsicle.
That was the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Thank you to my brothers for my trauma. JK.
All right, Elaine.
Okay. Well, it's Elaine part 2. So you heard part 1. Let's get back into it and just hear more of her amazing stories. All right. To the moon!
You know, I was in Oklahoma many years ago to go to a championship rodeo thing that a friend of mine rode in. Woman she's 42 years old and still riding barrel racing and winning awards.
Oh boy. Oh, ouch. Holy cow.
So, I know, she was awesome. And this was going to be her last rodeo. So, of course, a lot of us that knew her, we just got in this caravan and we were going to go and have a good time. Well, they also had one of the largest flea markets at the rodeo. Was in conjunction with a lot of other stuff going on in kind of like the Texas fair, the state fairs, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they had one of the largest flea markets ever in Oklahoma at this particular event. Well, it would have taken 2 days to hit every single table and vendor. I mean, it was huge.
That's fun.
And milling around and doing our thing. And I found a Ouija board that was well loved, paid $125 for it.
Oh my gosh.
Kept saying, Elaine, what are you doing? How are you going to buy gas next week? Anyway, she had put it in this really pretty velvety thing that looked like it belonged to the board. She wasn't sure whether it was, but it fit. So anyway, and walked around with it. And somewhere along the way, I put it down on a table. And when I went looking for it, we went to the car. I had my other 2 purchases, and one of my girlfriends said, Elaine, where's your board? Because it was in this maroony looking velvet thing that was hard to miss. And I said, oh my God, I don't know. So 3 of us, we went back in there and kind of separated and looked for it and never got it back.
That
was my big signal to not mess with Ouija boards.
It left you.
Yeah. Wow.
And I knew that. My grandmother had a Ouija board, and it was a single slider.
Yeah.
You don't put 2. It was just a single slider, and she made the slider herself. And it had a hole in it rather than plastic that covers the hole. It just made a hole, and she used it quite often. And I never learned to be afraid of it, but there might have been something about that board. Of course, I would have brought it home and cleansed it under the pyramid.
Sure.
I would have gone through all that.
Yeah.
But I was not supposed to have that board. I thought, okay, all I can do is release it and just hope that somebody gets it that needs it, will treat it with kindness, because I was going to use it as a collector's item, I wasn't going to use it.
It must have looked cool.
Wait, I'm sorry. What is cleansed it on the pyramid? What does that mean?
Oh, the reason why I moved past that so quickly is because I assumed she has some kind of like what do you call it? Like
crystal?
quartz crystal pyramid kind of thing.
Is that what you're talking about? Is that what that is?
It's the one I had at the time was glass, and it was about 36 inches across. I could put something that big, and it was about 2 feet tall.
That's amazing.
Whoa.
It was made by a glass maker here at the store. The shop was called Renaissance, and it was made out of cut glass. It was just beautiful. And it was a gift, and it opened one side completely open, so you could put a full size something in there, and that's where it would have gone. And it was stolen.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah. So, but I still have smaller pyramids, and when I buy a new piece of jewelry or a new stone or a new crystal or a new skull or something like that, I always cleanse them when I bring things. I smoke things that, like pieces of furniture, if they're used, I always do a cleansing.
Yeah.
That.
So it's funny. It's funny that you're saying these are just made out of glass, yeah?
It can be. They can be made out of everything. I have another one made out of, I call it plumber's piping.
Well, so is it the shape that's more important to the clearing than it is the actual material, or what?
Yes, it has to be. If you're going to cleanse under a pyramid, the dimensions have to be perfect.
I don't know anything about this.
Me neither. That's why I was like, what did you just say? It sounded so like
it's not a pyramid
second nature to you.
Until the measurements are perfect on all sides.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Well,
T minus 1 hour till Frank is looking up
T minus 1 hour until we have 13 pyramids in this house all over the place. And I'm putting my cup of coffee in there just in case.
I don't see. Okay.
Look. Okay, so it's like, all right. Okay.
Oh, okay. So you said like piping could also, yeah. Did you make that?
No, I bought it.
Okay. But if you're just listening to this, Elaine is showing us a pyramid. Frank, you're better at describing.
Yeah. It's almost like the framing of a pyramid. Like it
there you go.
Yeah, like every corner is made out of a pipe. It's not covered. It's not solid. You can like stick your hand through it if you wanted to.
Right. And you can hang it. This hung over my bed, over my head.
Oh.
Elaine, what is it supposed to do exactly? Because
it helps you in that kind of situation, it helps you quieten down. And see, it just folds. This one just.
Okay. That's your travel pyramid.
Sort of.
Maybe a little too big for the TSA, but that's okay.
They probably take it away from me.
Yeah.
But it folds up.
Whoa.
See, it's still a pyramid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could still use it in different ways. That's why this one was made this way. But you never want your point down.
Okay.
You want your base. Like that.
Never heard of this. This is great.
And it's just supposed to, is it for like energy directing or what is it?
And cleansing and directing. I bought a ring at a pawn shop. And I bought it because of the mystery around it. And I could tell it was multi-metal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it had swirls inside, as well as outside. And it was thick. It was long. It went from knuckle to knuckle on me. And I was surprised it fit me. And it was a ring that you couldn't tell whether it was purposely made for a man or a woman. It was just, I thought, a really cool, what I thought was silver, only to find out it was white gold, right?
Mm.
And it had yellow gold in it, and it had some bronze in it. There were some bronze symbols on the underneath side, and I thought, I'm going to find out about this ring. It was obvious that it had been either specially made for somebody or maybe even the owner. But it felt weird to me when I picked it up, and I'm holding it in my hands, and I'm rubbing it, and I breathed on it, and nothing would change it. Its energy was just, I'm not moving.
Huh.
Whoa.
Staying here. And I went, okay. And I put it back several times, and the young man that was helping me he said, for the third time, he said, and I was checking out with something else, a guitar, in fact, which I was going to use as a gift. And he said, you want to make sure, do you want me to hold that ring for you for 24 hours? And I said, no, I'm going to go ahead and get it. And he looked at me really funny. And I said, what do you know about this ring that I need?
Yeah.
And he told me a little bit about the guy that had actually intended to come back and get it. Because here in Texas, pawn shop people, you can sell it outright, but you have to sign a release. So they can put it immediately into their what do you call it? Displays. Or you can put it like 30 days or, sometimes 60 days, depending on the shop, where you have an option to come back and get it, buy it back. So it's a loan thing, which was the original use for pawn shops. But the guy had called him like 3 or 4 days and said, I've decided to let the ring go. So he came in and he signed it off and left it there. The owner of the shop, which was small, hesitated to put it up for sale. He was going to let a jeweler buy it, melt it down. Because it was so odd, it was either going to sell immediately or not at all.
Yeah.
That thing. And he told me a little bit about the description of the guy that sold it and his energy. And I'm looking at this young kid talking about energy, and I'm going, yeah, you got it, kid. Okay. And selling people typically do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People, they do. Yeah. And I was grateful for it. Took notes, brought it home, put it under the pyramid. I left it there for about 4 months. Actually, I forgot it was there. I think I was intended to forget it was there. And I had wrapped it up in a burlap sack. And I unwrapped it, left it exposed, cleansed it with soap and water, baking powder, got it really shiny pretty, and thought, ooh, I'd love to wear that. And I immediately got no.
Oh.
No. Okay. So I left it there. I forgot about it. And I was in my office every day, but it was like it was on the peripheral over here, and I didn't pay attention to it. And finally, I had a small group over one night for cake and coffee and conversation. And one of the girls spotted it. My office door was closed, and I came down the hall when I saw the light, and she was in here, and I didn't care if she was in here or not, or in my office at the time. And she said, that ring is beautiful. And I said, does it talk to you? What's it saying? We had this conversation. And I said, sweetie, it's been under there for at least 4 or 5 months now, and the energy is not budging. She picked it up with permission, held it in her hand, and opened it, and it was like that ring had just opened up.
Whoa.
I said, if you want to take it home and see if it's yours, it's yours. I'll pay you for it. Nope. Nope. Next time you make fudge, remember me.
How does that, did she ever do anything with it?
Yeah, she wore it all the time. She had great meditation with it.
What?
She was on the same wavelength as whoever made it or had it for a long. I had a feeling that ring was in mourning. I felt like the ring felt abandoned by the person that had taken it to the pawn shop. It was like a dog who waited for its owner to return that was never going to return. But wouldn't eat, wouldn't budge, just waiting to be retrieved. And it didn't come back. And by the time I brought it home, so her energy must have been very similar to that man. That man's energy. Or the ring had just given up, but I wasn't the one that was supposed to have it. So its way of not budging was not being mine, was not budging.
Yeah.
How many things are we interacting with every day where we're like trying to make it work and it's just not going to work?
Not supposed to be ours.
Not going to work.
The way
usually they'll disappear.
Yeah. The way I like talking to you because the way that you make things sound is just everything's just brimming and pulsing with energy all the time. And like,
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many things? Yeah. How are we? We're just like not as, a lot of us just aren't as aware or like in tune.
Well, we're always
paying attention.
We're always talking about this being a game of subtleties and like really picking up on it and like being aware of it. And that's where you start to like unfold your intuition is in paying attention to those subtle shifts and subtle changes in energy. But when talking to someone like you, who's like so aware of it, it's so tangible to you. It's so fun to be like, it's a fun reminder for the less open currently than people like me, where I'm like, oh man, things are like that everywhere. And
yeah, but that just opened a whole like understanding for me in regards to like how we relate or interact with objects even around us, our clothing, when you're like, for some reason, I just love this I don't know why, I just love this jacket, or I love this necklace or whatever it is, and then I didn't really like that thing that much, or for some reason I don't know why I ever bought it. Now I can't find it. That's an interesting thing too. Like it wasn't supposed to be mine. Isn't interesting.
Or have you ever gone shopping for something and the sizes are 12, 14, 16, whatever, and they're 10 of exactly the same thing, but you'll try one on, but you'll reach for another one to buy it.
Yes.
So you'll say, I don't want this one, but I want that one.
Yes.
And it's the same thing. It's the same material, same size, same buttons, whatever. I can't tell you how many times I've done that.
That is really interesting. I've done that too.
Yeah.
Also, this makes me think about the time that I bought that e-bike. I really thought, so we have a bike. This is a weird anecdote. I'm making you listen to my bike story. But I bought
that's okay. We're bikers. It's okay. Harleys.
God, I wish my e-bike was a Harley. Anyway, I bought a e-bike off of like some like website. It was shipping over from China. This is pre-tariff. And I really thought, I'm like, I want to go on family bike rides. Now, mind you, Lauren does not like biking. She's not a bicyclist. But I'm
not comfortable on a bike.
My daughter had just learned, like, I got a seat on the back of my bike for our youngest, and I really wanted Lauren to go on a bike ride. I'm like, if this were like one of those pedal assist bikes, like I know Lauren's going to get on it. Anyway, long story short, I spent like weeks agonizing over which was the right one to get, and I finally ordered it, and it never came. And and like they didn't charge me for it or anything like that, but like I got the notifications. It was, it's been shipped. Like I'm waiting for the updates. It's coming overseas, so it's going to take a little while. I kept getting tracking information. It never came. They refunded it and everything. But come to realize now that Lauren was never going to get on that bike.
I was never supposed to have that bike. You were trying to make fetch happen.
I was trying to make fetch happen. And that's a Mean Girls reference of the show. But Yeah. I mean, that was just one small example of something like the Ouija board that left you. Like, sometimes it's just not going to happen. It's really interesting how many times, like, how much friction we cause in our lives trying to make a thing work. And instead of like going with the flow and learning and adapting, it seems like the way you're mentioning it, it seems like a lot of things you will adapt to each other, you and your inanimate object that like holds a particular energy, but some things won't.
But part of the learning process, I'm a big karma person and a learning person. I believe that everything that happens in our life teaches us, and we teach it later.
Yes.
It's why we have experiences.
Mm-hmm.
We can share an experience. Maybe somebody can learn and go, well, maybe I shouldn't climb on that mountain if I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I need a different kind of boot for that walk.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. But I really believe that everything and everybody that we touch and touches us is for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's sharing a smile. I don't care. There's a karma that a long list of karma that we're going to collect and that we're going to create. Even if it's with a kindness, or if we walk away because we ignored somebody that needed help, and then later our conscience says, you really should have helped. Okay, we're learning what our level of consciousness is, consideration is. So if it ever happens again, we can help that person. But we don't know whether we created karma with that person that we ignored or not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of both. But not getting a job, the business that closed down, you were done. You were done with all of those people.
Yeah.
You loved it. You had your experiences. You got to share them. You can look back on them, enjoy them, your trips to Hawaii. You know, there was joy in your voice when you spoke about that. So you might remember the food, the people you met. Yay.
Yeah.
So maybe someday you will go back to Hawaii and experience some of those same things. Take somebody with you that has never been there before. And that's important. I'm a big people. I'm an emotional and physical touchy. I believe in hugs, and unless somebody and I've known people that were non-touchable.
Yeah.
Okay. That's okay. I can go hug, and we're good. Have a couple of people like that.
Yeah.
But I can respect that. But I've never asked any of them why not.
Right.
Right.
I would not. It's none of my business.
Right.
None. But I believe that everything we say, hear, smell, feel has its purpose. It's part of our journey.
Yeah.
And if we don't understand it at that moment, we don't need to. But we will take it on subconsciously and super subconsciously, so that in any journey we take, it's always there. It's always there. And we can pull it up whenever we need it.
Yeah.
We don't have to keep it all up here. We can put it in those filing boxes called subconscious and super sub. Super sub doesn't need direction. It does it anyway. It's automatic.
Yeah.
Just does. But that also happens with what we don't need anymore. As a psychic, as a practicing psychic and reader, I don't want to, and I don't need to remember everything about a client.
Mm-hmm.
So when they call 10 years later, I can go, oh yeah. No.
Right.
But what I've noticed over the years is that sometimes I carry that too far, and I lose memory of what I do need to remember. And especially the older that I get. Yeah. I'm 80. So at 80
You're
years
80?
old.
You do not seem 80.
Yes, sir, I am.
Wow. You're doing good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I've had to train myself to go, okay, Elaine, this is personal. You need to remember this.
Sure.
Right.
You need to remember this.
It's funny hearing that from you, though, because you have all the stories you've told us have seemed so lucid. Like you have a very good memory.
They're part of my soul.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They're built in. You built them in.
Right. When it's not just a brain thing, it's a soul thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you touch, you eat, you smell, it's in your soul. And even if it wasn't important to you at the moment, it's still there. You can pull it up in your memory bank. Now, people who have dementia, that doesn't mean, and my aunt, I took care of my aunt when I think she was going through some of that. It was never diagnosed, but I think so.
Mm-hmm.
And we learned how to communicate with her when she was really having a bad episode. This was a woman who died at 103.
Wow.
Whoa.
When she was bedridden, I would hear her in her bedroom as though she was still on the train going to another event with 3 of her favorite people that she taught with. But to her, that's where she was.
Oh.
She was on that train going someplace with her friends, and we'd hear her laugh. We'd hear her answer a question. She was reliving those days.
Yeah.
And she'd call out people's names. She was a teacher for over 70 years. And she would talk like she was talking to one of her classes.
Wow.
That's
amazing.
That's not a physical memory. That's a heart memory.
Yeah.
Things that she loved. I really believe all of that. I'm convinced that all of that is in there. If it's important or even if it isn't. Sometimes if it's something we need to be weary of.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's actually, if we are going through our lives, interacting with people and objects and the energies that they carry, and we are, like you said, we're collecting it as part of our life experience, as part of our conscious and subconscious.
Right.
Something about your aunt that strikes me, because I have an aunt that's going through something similar right now, but it's not so good, right? Like, is there a trick to collecting or recalling or making sure that you're living your life in a way so that if your brain starts to fail you just from age or whatever it might be, like, how do you make sure that your heart memories and that your heart space is full of the good stuff? You know, like, how do you alchemize these daily experiences into a way where, like, if you're gonna be sitting bedridden and you're gonna recall the time you're on a train with your favorite people instead of something worse.
So I think 2 things. There is no guarantee. Please accept that. There is no guarantee of what your memory or your heart memory will be.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, if it is part of your journey list before you ever came back, it's there in your heart. Now, don't equate heart with positive feelings or hurt feelings. It's the importance of either one of those that makes it a heart memory. If something was meant to hurt you so you would learn a lesson, it's in your heart.
Mm.
And if you're sitting or laying in bed and you have no control about what memory pops into brain, if that pops in, then it's an opportunity for you. If it's negative or positive, it's your opportunity to review it and learn from it. Or say to yourself, I don't know why I went through that, but it's okay. I'll know later.
Mm-hmm.
There should be absolutely no guilt about what you learned or you did not learn in a lifetime. Not everybody gets everything in the 3rd grade that they'll need all the way through the 12th. You take it 1 grade, 1 step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what living life is all about, 1 step at a time. We've all cried tears. We've all lost control over something. The death of a parent, the love of someone that just slipped away from us, or we threw them away for some reason. Losses of jobs that were perfect, like your experience. But yet you knew there was something else. It wasn't enough. Because you were on a plan and you knew it subconsciously to have more. I'm not going to say better. I'm going to say more of what you intended to learn from.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you knew it. So in a way you were kind of saying, this is a great experience, but I'm going to push this away a little bit.
Yeah.
So even if that company had not closed down, you would have ended up leaving.
Yeah.
Probably been offered a great job. You would have taken it, or you would have decided to open your own business at a perfect time. You would have taken it. They let you off the hook by closing down.
Yeah, that's true.
The decision was made for you.
Yeah.
Now, there are no guarantees about what memories will pop up.
Mm.
The memories that pop up will be the ones you are gifted, like her gifting herself with those joyful experiences, or they will be memories that maybe not so nice, but you still needed to review. And then you can let it go, because you will let it go.
This is really interesting because it's making me feel like even if you're like, mental faculties deteriorate some, it seems like you could still maybe find a way to not have such a rigid mindset, because so many people go through their lives and they collect these bad experiences and they replay it, and they replay not only the bad experience, but their reaction to that bad experience, and they're living in this pain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it sounds like the way I've never heard this before. It sounds like you're suggesting that maybe like, hey, here's that situation again where you had an opportunity to learn. Like, you can still learn now. Like, alchemize it, process it in the way that you needed to.
Yeah.
We can, but not every brain is capable. You can have heart memories, but the brain is not wired to take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Spirit is. And if we totally and completely let spirit teach us and listen, but not everybody was born with the ability to do that. That wasn't part of their journey. We have physical human experiences for a reason. We kill a cat, pull its head off. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Is it to teach the cat, who was a panther at one time and killed us? Was it between us? Or was that the beginning of a serial killer? Because that's what that life had decided they would do before they ever came back. Now, perfect example is your situation in Cuba. Your parents went through a lot of cruelty just because of somebody's greed and ego. They learned how not to behave that way with other people.
Mm-hmm.
They could have said, he's a good example. He taught me how to steal. I'll never be hungry. Your folks had a choice. They chose not to be that way. They chose to come here, build a life, show compassion, never repeat the same way that political leader lived, treated people. So your people brought joy here and hard work and became something opposite of what they left. That was their journey. They may have talked about what happened in Cuba. Did they come through Florida?
They came through Mexico, actually.
Okay. Well, the people that came from Cuba into Florida, they built a whole Cuban community.
They did. A lot of my family has moved to Florida since because of that community.
Right. And they said, Americans, you stay on your side of the street. We'll stay on ours for at least one full generation.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, building their restaurants, their businesses, learning to trust Americans, even though Americans were accepting of them, but still said, are you terrorists? Although that wasn't the word then.
Yeah.
You're bringing Castro. Yeah, no, we don't think so. You could be not what you're saying. So that trust had to be built. And once it was, they actually started mingling. Although there's still a Cuban community.
Yes.
Who still doesn't trust. Frankly, I can't blame them. But it's getting better. It's taken a couple of generations now, but it's getting better.
Yeah.
But what can we as a community learn from their pain? How are we supposed to be treating those immigrants, then legal or otherwise? Some of them just washed ashore with nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. So how do we take on that community and take care of them, trust them, which not everybody did, but we knew they needed something, even if it was just for the first month they were here. They needed a bath and food and shelter, and how did we help them? That's a hard journey to take.
Yes.
It's a really hard journey, and I feel sorry for people that have to go through anything like that. It's still part of your trauma stuff that you were talking about a while ago. But the memories that your people or people that come from a different path, what are their memories going to be like when they can't consciously, intentionally bring up a memory? Are they going to remember the food that they can never, ever get to taste exactly like it was in Cuba because they couldn't get the ingredients here. Maybe they can now, but I doubt that they could then.
Yeah.
Right.
Different spices, different earth that fruits and vegetables were grown in. So what do they remember when they start sitting and daydreaming and remember the roads that they walked or the people that they knew that they could no longer ever see again? Those are the memories that would probably come up without difficulty. The ones that they don't want to remember are the ones that they had to go get in a boat and row fast.
Yeah.
Or get on a plane and hope they wouldn't be kicked off, which happened occasionally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the memories that we don't have any guarantee will ever go away. And when we have no conscious ability to say, I don't want to remember that, go away.
Yeah.
Because we've got dementia or, whatever. We have to let those memories float and just pass and say, okay, what did I learn from that experience? Well, it happened to me. I didn't learn. I was just mean, just mean. I was a kid. I didn't deserve that. If you don't agree with past lives and you don't believe in you're here for lessons, then yeah, you're going to have a lot of retained anger and fear. If as an adult, you can say, I'm not that child anymore. It helped me become the man, the woman that I am today. And I don't have to be ugly because at 5, 6, and 7, I had to go through that. I didn't ask for that. Yeah, you did. If you live in a spiritual world, yeah,
you did. Yeah.
But you don't have to stay there. And even to this day, I know adults that are still staying in that space.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The choice to hold on to that animosity or that pain is a choice.
The experience, the story, all of it.
Yeah. But I also have clients that have used that to go to get degrees in psychology to help people not get stuck. Or become fabulous chefs so they can recreate that comfort food.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when we talk about like turning trauma into wisdom for others.
Right.
The transmutation.
Transmuting. And that's part of my little coaching thing too is
like, do that.
Yeah. Using my experiences to go like, you don't have to, come on. Like, Did
you say your little coaching
I did.
thing?
I didn't mean to say little.
Gross.
Let me say that again.
Yeah.
Taking my coaching and empowerment business and workshops to bring people out of the trauma and into like you don't have to stay down there. Stay, come on.
Yeah.
And the sad part is the reality is not everyone is capable of coming out of, is growing out of. But the good side of that is they had that experience. So now they can teach others how not to hurt people.
Right.
Yeah.
Or be hurt. It's to use an example, there are men and women who constantly go into the same relationships over and over and over again. I don't care if one guy's the banker, the next one is the biker, the next one is the mechanic, the next one is the millionaire. They're all the same people.
Yeah.
They're going to beat the crap out of you on Friday night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Period. But yet we keep pulling. There's something about that energy. What is it? Or the guy who just treats every woman in his life like she's a queen. And he keeps being drawn to these women that are going to be treated like a queen.
And
you will never be able to give me a big enough diamond.
Yeah.
That, and their heart breaks because we've all known that guy. He just gets his heart broken by the same person in a different body.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
And I've asked clients that. Why do you keep walking into this? Sometimes you have to hit yourself over the head with it. Same women. I've done the same thing with women. Why? This is going to happen. How many times and bones do you need to have broken before you see yourself as a stronger, more deserving person?
Yeah.
well,
When will the lesson actually land and you like do something
Right.
with it? Yeah.
right.
And if
But
for
that's
no
where-
reason, just so that you don't, when you're old and in bed, you're not just reliving this experience you put yourself through 100 times over, you know?
Mhm.
Addicts do the same thing.
Yeah.
All kinds of addicts, alcohol, drugs. Those are physical ailments. Don't misunderstand me.
Yeah.
There is an illness there,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but it can be a psychological mixed with a chemical illness. It can be any number of things.
Yeah.
I have not lived that life, so I don't feel like I can say too much about it, but I witness how people go through that and how they come out of it. I have several friends that I look at and go, wow, I knew you were so drunk, couldn't stand up, much less put 5 sentences together. And now they've got fabulous jobs, great educations, but they had to have that before they could be successes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And some of them break the chain of their lineage. The first ones that didn't overdose, the first ones that didn't kill somebody when they were driving drunk or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's all part of the journey. And I know I use that word a lot, but everything we do is part of a journey. How do you break a cycle? You have to learn it.
Mhm.
Some people observe it. In my life, my parents at both times were alcoholics at different times in their lives. And I never liked the smell or taste of beer. Just to this day, the only time I would ever drink a beer, and I really didn't drink it, was when we were in the middle of the lake on a very hot day, and that was the only thing we had was Cooler on Ice. And we didn't have bottled water.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah,
And listen, let's be honest. The alcohol volume of Coors is probably hydrating at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I would usually just chug about a half of it and hand it to somebody on the boat. I mean, that was it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I never really cared about alcohol until I was in my mid-20s, and I married an alcoholic.
Wow.
I didn't know he was an alcoholic when I married him. I
Yeah.
didn't believe that, but he was. And once that was going for over, I just walked away.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's it. But I had to have that journey with that particular man to understand why my stepdad and my mom, who they were.
Mm.
And then I was able to get a divorce and never look back. And I was able to stop blaming my mom and my stepdad for who they were.
Wow.
But I had to live it
Yeah.
before I could do that.
I mean, it's such an interesting point, and I've been accused of being at risk of, taking 10 years to learn a 10-day lesson, and like having the thing that's been a big deal is like, how many times do you have to repeat this thing for you to for it to land, for you to try something new, for something to
Right.
click? You know what I mean? And yeah, I know Lauren is too. We're trying to be so much more aware of these cycles that we keep landing in.
Yeah.
And while we're in it, if we've managed to put ourselves in it again, finding a new exit and making sure we don't come back to it.
But no, every time you do it, you're learning more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even if you get out of the cycle, somewhere down the road,
The test.
there may be an opportunity, call it a temptation.
Yeah.
So you look at it as, I know better than to do that, but what did I not learn last time? So before you go into the temptation, you give yourself enough time to think about the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Make sense?
Oh,
Yeah.
it does. I
Yeah.
just encountered my first real big test for this current cycle I'm in, and I passed. I did a good job. Yeah.
The thing is, we don't always know what's in that bundle. There
Yeah.
could be some new lesson, and people will go, I got to go find out what else.
Right.
Yeah. And then you're not done.
And you're not done.
But yeah.
And we do sometimes, once we're very, very aware, we do get the opportunity to draw a temptation on purpose, just to see where our strengths and our weaknesses are.
Mm.
It's that, okay, I'm going to a wedding. I've been sober for 15 years, but I really want a sip of that champagne to celebrate.
Yeah.
I just want one sip, which could send that person off on a junket they don't need.
Right.
They can click a glass of non-alcoholic something, and it's just as important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I was just encountered with a situation where I knew someone at a good company, the job, then they're like, hey, I asked them about something entirely different. And they're like, by the way, this position just opened and we think you'd be great for it. And it pays exactly what you want. And also, like literally it was such a unique position that I'm like, oh, I've done this and I could do this easily. It was tough because I had to look at Lauren. I said, Lauren, I know we're looking for more financial comfort right now, but I can't take this job because I'm going for something new. And I've done this 100 times through already, and it never ends the way I wanted to. And I get stuck and I have to relearn the lesson all over again. So even though logically it was the wrong choice to make, I was like, well, this is funny. I'm letting go of a 6-figure job that I'm like would be a walk in the park for me. It was like, I have to chase this authentic like creativity right now. And so like what I did was I actually made a proposal. I said, I don't want to do it the way you're saying it. But I will say I will do this much. So finding out like how much of that is appropriate for me. So for me in particular, it was I need to break out of the confines of like working in a traditional structure. And I offered my services as a contractor on my terms. And
good for you.
Yeah.
Nice balance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't heard back, so maybe not. But
however, it's valuing yourself in a whole different category as opposed to what the other thing that you always did was I'm going to work for someone else. They're going to tell me exactly what to do. It's going to take up all of my time. It's going to make me like kind of miserable.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be aligned with what I'm actually supposed to be doing.
Right. I cannot step into that traditional structure anymore unless it's on my terms.
Yeah.
And even if it doesn't work out, it's like, that's a loss I'm willing to take if the payoff is like holding on to my own values and like staying in the space where I can become who I want to become. So, yeah.
You said something earlier about learning your worth.
Yes.
I think you've already learned your worth.
Yeah, I think I finally just got this. But it took me too long. I mean, it took as long as it's going to take. But
yeah.
But I think if I were more in this space of being more receptive and seeing how life lessons come at you instead of just feeling like everything is chaotic and things don't have as much meaning as I've given them now, I think I could have learned this sooner. But now,
you weren't supposed to.
I wasn't supposed to. There was a little bit of, there's a value in the struggle only in that I can now so quickly identify it. Since hindsight's 2020, right? I see all the times I've made the mistake, and this was the time where I went, "Oh, what was I doing? I get it now." So yeah, that's these little. I think I graduated. And I'm on to the next lesson.
Every lesson, every level. I don't even like that word, because I look at them as lessons rather than levels, but people understand the word level.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're afraid of lessons. So, well, go learn your lesson. That's how a lot of us equate the word lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when somebody is asking for what the two of you have been asking of your guest, teach us so we can share it with who's listening. You really have already put yourself in the position of teachers and mentors.
That's true. Yeah.
And yet you're not looking at yourselves in that way. But that's exactly
also
what
true.
you're doing.
Yeah.
You're mentoring without ever using that word mentor by what you're exposing your public to, your listeners to.
That's true. Yeah, we don't
So
put
take
ourselves in
it.
that category.
That is a good point.
I'll take it.
I always
I'll take
thank
that.
you. I always
Thank you.
I talk to Lauren a lot about, like, especially because, you know, there's no way around it. I am an anti-authoritarian person, and like putting myself in this position where you can learn from me, not by me telling you, but by you observing me and doing it publicly and being okay with being an open book and with sharing my vulnerabilities. It's allowing people to walk beside me as we explore things together. You know, this is a anti-hierarchical mentorship.
I like that.
That's good.
I hope so.
Well, you're going to be doing this for quite a while, so and you've already got 70 plus episodes. So
Yeah. And I'm having too much fun talking to people like you. You're amazing.
Yeah.
it's been fun. It really has. I've been looking forward to this. Thank you.
Elaine, tell everybody where to find you and what your current services are, and please plug yourself.
Please plug myself. Oh,
Yeah.
dear. Conversation with the Ancients podcast. And the subline is A Journey with Elaine Ireland. It is a composite of people that have been in the business of psychic work for, one of them already 50, 60 years. And I do have them classified, but that's a loose classification, like newbies, the ones that they've been doing it at their home for 10 years, but now they're coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all the way to established folks that are doing it on a full-time basis, to people that are legends who have passed on. Let's see. I do readings private. I do not do Zoom readings, folks. I'm sorry. I can't do this business. My head going up and down between the cards. Anyway, but I teach classes, tarot classes. I've been instructed by my spiritual guides that my classes are now going to be a lot more in-depth and longer. They'll be 12 months to 16 months.
Ooh.
Once a week, probably 2 or 3 hours a week. And presentation will be pretty much what I've always been doing, but just really more in depth. Those are, you can find me on Facebook, and I still do some mentoring. Not as much as I used to, but I do. It depends on what people need. So that's it.
Oh man. Well, it's been a pleasure, Elaine.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for spending this much time with us. I think you're officially our longest interview.
Yeah. Are we? I would think so
Well,
too.
we could talk easily with one another. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is gonna be
fantastic.
Thank you. It's been fun, and it's been an honor to be on the podcast.
Oh.
Y'all are doing a great service here.
Thank you for listening. Visit clairvoyaging.com for merchandise or to access free resources to help you on your spiritual journey. Subscribe to our Patreon for more content or join for free to chat with us. Clairvoyaging is a fiscally sponsored project of Fractured Atlas, a 501c3 charity. Make a tax-deductible donation to support our mission to foster understanding, respect, and curiosity for diverse spiritual belief systems. Clairvoyaging is a production of Wayfeather Media.